I'm feeling so uneasy right now. My heart is shrouded in anxiety, sieged by a mysterious sense of insecurity. Yeah, if I had to put it into words, I'm a fool. On this momentous journey known as life, I'm a fool that has taken each step of my way looking only at his feet. While everyone else has got their eyes on the target and they're all headed there with a perfect poise, I've been staring down this entire time, like a damn zombie. I'm sure I've been warned about this by more sensible people, but I didn't think it was happening to me. I avoided the difficulty of things being difficult and spent 32 years sluggishly trudging along. In the spring of my 32nd year alive, I suddenly became aware of it. Why can't I sense anybody else around me? I lifted my head and looked around for the first time in an eternity, and when I did, what did I find? I had completely no idea where I was anymore. I was stranded on this voyage called life. I became aware of this unfortunate turn of events only last week. I have nobody that I can call a friend. I don't have anyone in my life. And obviously I don't have a significant other or anything like that. Why didn't I notice it this entire time? What the hell was going on in my head? Okay, let's take an honest look at things here. I wasn't thinking about anything at all. Not one thing. I wasn't aware of anything. Basically, I'd been asleep at home this entire time when I was a kid, when I was a teen, and even long after I became an adult. It's totally as if I had been sentenced to a punishment of sleeping and had lay there unconscious, snoring away all of that precious time. And the result is that I've become a solitary man. Wasn't even aware of himself, of how alone he was, but now I think of that loneliness as a great transgression. What I just got done reading is a piece from the main character of the story, Wanito Kagegisu. It's a bit of a mouthful, and it took me 50 times to say it properly, but I'll put it on screen. It's 44 chapters written by Minoru Furuya. It's a series that tackles with the emotion of loneliness, something that can be a little bit evident from the main character's entire rant about it, and again, that's only a piece of it. The main character is Tomioka, a 32-year-old security guard who comes off as extremely eccentric, as even though he's giving this super well-done sort of self-analysis at the lonely life he's lived and just now becoming aware of it, he's doing it while walking around in his underwear. So this series from the jump comes off as very strange. In fact, as the series continues, you will meet more characters who were completely affected by the state of loneliness, something that in fact has more effects than one might think at first. Negative effects on one's memory, sleeping problems, higher stress, as well as an increased risk for things such as anxiety, depression, and a low self-esteem. And on top of the feelings of isolation, it can hinder the mind's ability to connect to other people and develop trusting relationships. It's one of those things that's truly deadly for the human experience, and it's the exact theme that this story tackles, not just with the main character, but a lot of the other characters that we see later on, and the way that they go about it and how they grow from it. So immediately the story presents itself as something bleak and incredibly serious with the subject matter, although it's very absurd in the visuals, which was it's something that kept me on my toes as I really had no idea where this series was going to go, and I had no legitimate expectations, which is extremely exciting once you get to reading a good amount of series, having no idea what you're really getting into. It's quite refreshing. But nonetheless, this is a very bleak topic, as loneliness is one of the driving factors with male suicide, which is one of the largest killers for men under 35 and the #1 killer for men under 50. Although, of course, it isn't exclusive to men, and the series even goes into the female perspective and her cause for the immense loneliness in her life. Again, very heavy sort of subject, and it's something to be expected from a psychological, mature drama series. Be it the one aspect of this manga that completely makes it a unique experience is that it actually turns into a comedy. Strangely enough, with the way that the characters are and the way that they talk, it's a comedy manga. And at first I wondered if the characters were just simply absurd for the sake of it, but yet I realized it was sort of the author's interpretation of portraying loneliness in its most extreme form, one of which is oversharing when speaking, and the characters hold nothing back. A lot of the things that they say is completely absurd and crosses a lot of social lines, but yet it's an aspect that again shows that the author is trying to portray this on every level with the characters and does it in a way that helps keeps it fresh and intriguing. There's moments within the story where things get intense, but to sort of help deal with and sort of, I guess, have an easier time swallowing the entire theme of the story, it goes about it in a way that keeps it entertaining and somehow hilarious. Again, the theme itself isn't done hilarious, but just the absurd things the characters do make it an extremely fun read. And the best thing about it is it manages to get you invested in these characters, and it presents a story that I think will stick with me for pretty much the rest of my life, and it's only 44 chapters. But yet, due to the source material of the series and the way that it goes about it, I do think that it's a series that if you take away from the themes of it, it could be super beneficial, but even if you don't and you don't care for that, the read in and of itself, due to the comedic nature, is still such a fun read to have. So either ways, I legitimately would recommend this to anyone. Well, maybe not anyone due to the mature nature and some of the nudity, but besides the point, I think it's a series that anybody could take something away from, whether it's just the fun aspect of it or the message that it's trying to convey through the characters. It's without a doubt one of the strangest manga that I've ever read, as every so chapters I thought I was getting a gist of where the story was going, and then would do something that would completely turn on its head. And I really appreciate how it stuck to its identity throughout. There's moments where I thought it was going to turn into something far more serious, and yet I'm very glad that it didn't. It chose its moments very carefully with some of the other characters and with the main character as well, to once again become introspective and look into the reasons as to why they live the life that they do. Some of the characters which are completely aware of their loneliness and have an issue with it, while others are in denial and struggle to see why and go on to try and find what they want to do with their life. And so our main character ends off the first chapter having one wish on a shooting star, wishing to have one friend. And throughout the story, we see the difficulties of him trying to integrate himself socially with other people again and deal with the feeling of loneliness. And by the end of the story, I must say it was easily one of my favorite things I've ever read. Something that, again, I would highly recommend to anyone to check out, because even if you don't take away from the message of the story, I think there's something there to enjoy. It's not what I would have expected. It's not what I would have ever probably wanted if you told me about a series that went about loneliness. But after reading Wanito Kagegisu, I would rather have it no other way. And so I really do think this manga manages to tackle one of the deadliest and heaviest emotions within the human being, and yet do it in a way that's digestible and enjoyable even for the reader. But check it out for yourself and let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. As well, if you're new to the channel, subscribing would be greatly appreciated. This has been The Masked Man. Hope everyone has a blessed rest of the day, and peace.